What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Draft Week.
Hey.
Welcome to Face Mask.
We've almost made it. We've almost arrived.
Yeah. Finally. Been waiting for this day forever, man.
Yeah. Welcome in,
Not
everybody.
this day, but just this week.
This week. It's upon us.
Yeah.
It's good to be back. Face Mask took a little hiatus last weekend.
Hiatus.
Enjoyed some time off with a good group of friends. So that was a good time.
It was fun.
It was fun. Appreciate everybody's patience. We are back just in time because, like John said, it's draft week. And I know everybody's hype. Rojo, Alex, good to see you guys. I know everyone's fired up for the draft. What's everybody want their team to do?
What's going on, Iron? Yeah, it's almost not even a fantasy topic.
It could be
the
both.
Draft. If you're a Saints fan and they don't draft any offensive players, Rojo, I know you're a Saints fan. I mean, it's still huge repercussions for your team if they go O-line, if they go, defense or whatever, man. So yeah, it's just a general football conversation. It's not necessarily even fantasy related.
Nope.
Obviously, we're here for the fantasy questions too, first and foremost. But yeah, man.
Oh, there's going to be obviously fantasy implications in the first round. It just depends on the teams that end up with them. I personally hope that the Eagles take Jameson Williams because he's skyrocketing up the board right now, and is a guy that I identified early in the process. Not that it was that difficult. The ACL maybe muddied the waters a little bit on Jameson Williams, but the talent was obvious at Alabama. So.
No, I mean nobody's worried about Jameson Williams' ability on the field long term, right? I mean, he, despite the injury, did he not run at the combine?
No, he didn't run it. No, he didn't run at the combine.
But he performed drills.
Not at the combine, did he? I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure he performed drills.
He might have done non-running drills.
Exactly. But just the fact that he was able to do that at the combine, and I'm pretty sure he did, says a lot about just him as a prospect.
He might have gone through the interview process and all of that stuff, but anything that required any type of usage of that ligament, he would have not been involved in. It was far too early.
Maybe I was wrong on that.
He might have done a little bit of running at his pro day, which was later in the offseason, but the combine being less than 2 months after when he tore the ACL, I don't think he performed there. Regardless,
it says here, player profiler, 4.3 speed, but it doesn't have the plus 0.5 for pro day.
Okay. Could have been pre-injury.
It could have been. But regardless,
either way,
really good prospect.
He's skyrocketing up.
Might be one of the best prospects in this draft from the wide receiver position. Earlier in the offseason, we were looking at it like Treylon Burks number 1 and nobody's touching him. Garrett Wilson number 2 and nobody's touching him. Those rankings have just completely been turned on their heads.
They're a lot closer.
I mean, Jameson Williams. After this draft, there might be an argument to where Jameson Williams should be the first wide receiver drafted, depending on landing spot.
Yeah,
there's an argument, which is crazy.
It's clear the teams are in on him. Teams are excited about his recovery process. There's no indication, and they're not even trying to hide this. All of the report, every suggestion, indication is that Jameson Williams is moving up, and he was already starting to get projected in the late teens or early 20s anyway. He's creeping close. I don't think he ultimately ends up being a top 10 pick, but at this point I think he's gone in the top, I think he's gone by pick 15. I think if the Eagles have the shot at taking him at pick 15, I think they'll take him.
Yeah. I mean, there was a report earlier that they're trying to shop Jalen Reagor, which, I mean, if they were to be able to get it done, it would open up another spot in their wide receiver depth chart. They already moved J.J. Arcega-Whiteside,
Whiteside,
whatever.
White Claw.
To
he's a drink. He's a nice little hard seltzer.
To tight end.
JJ the hard seltzer.
So they have spaces wide open on their wide receiver depth chart right now. I mean, it's Devonta Smith and then what? Quez Watkins.
Quez Watkins. So yeah, to those guys, like they had spots regardless of those two. Yeah, I think he should be in play if there's not another clear cut obvious move. The wide receiver is a big need for them anyway.
Who's your worst case scenario wide receiver? Is it the Eagles draft Drake London? Drake London falls and the Eagles get Drake London?
I don't think he's the type of I don't think he's the type of receiver the Eagles are looking for. The Eagles have generally looked for, when it comes to receiver, guys who can run, like pure speed. That's Jameson Williams' profile, not Drake London's.
What's going on, P. Diddy?
I just don't think they're going to target him. I don't think he's the type.
He's basically a better version of what J.J. Arcega-Whiteside
is supposed to be.
White Claw. We're just rolling with that.
Did it again.
We're just rolling with it. It's okay.
All right, he is now White Claw. We need to add that to the store. We need to add that to our personal store, a little White Claw logo. What's up, P. Diddy?
Would buy a shirt with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside on it, though. I don't know if that's happening.
More power to. If you turn him into a White Claw can, though, they might. Anyway, I don't know if there's licensing issues there, but
probably
figure that out later. I don't think Drake London fits the mold of what the Eagles are looking for in a receiver. Therefore, he's not on my radar as far as a guy that they might take. And they've been down that road before with, who was the receiver they drafted out of USC? Nelson Aguilar. I don't know if there's going to be like any type of history repeating itself when it comes to the Eagles as it pertains to Drake London. But yeah, I hope they draft Jameson Williams. What do you want the Bills to do?
Well, I want to dig into more of these wide receivers because I don't think the Bills are going wide receiver.
They're taking Breece Hall.
And I mean, the Eagles, Drake London, he's been mocked to go to the Jets a lot.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson has been mocked to go to the Atlanta Falcons most recently, I've seen.
And the Jets. I saw somebody move him up as high as 4.
Those guys you might not have the ability to get unless you trade up. But, I mean, Chris Olave probably isn't going to make it into the 20s. He's probably going to get drafted, so Chris Olave is a guy that the Eagles might end up with. You already said Jameson Williams. We'll see. I mean, I think George Pickens is more of a second-round pick. I don't know if he's a first-round talent or a first-round prospect at this stage in the game. But, I mean, the Eagles could go multiple different directions at wide receiver, and I think you would be happy with the majority of them.
Yeah, I would be fine with pretty much nearly all of these prospects.
Treylon Burks, Faller. How would you feel if Treylon Burks was the pick?
If they nabbed him at 18, depending on if all of them go way earlier than expected and Burks is the clear best option at 15, then sure. But if it's between him and like another guy is on the board, I would roll the dice. Take your favorite player at 15 and see who's available to you at 18. So in that scenario, if it's Burks, fine. Because they could use help anywhere in that, as far as that position goes. Excuse me.
He is technically like body type, skill set different than any wide receiver you guys currently have on your roster.
Right. So
Devonta Smith is more of a speedier, slighter build wide receiver.
Yeah.
Do you want to go with another guy like that on the other side, or do you want to go with a guy like Christian Burks, who is that man-child and who can be a movable chess piece and maybe even be your slot guy?
Treylon Burks, yeah.
Who did I say? What did I say?
I think you said Christian Burks.
Oh, well, there you go, Treylon.
You and names today.
Yeah, it's bad. It's
okay. We'll get it sorted out.
Sorry.
But yeah, so from that perspective, if you'd like to complement your players with guys who are not of the same build, that would work as well. So I would be fine with any one of the prospects, either at 15 or 18. I would be happy. I'm not worried the Eagles have drafted wide receiver in the first round 2 years in a row. It's still a need. So if it's still a need, don't be afraid to address it.
Yeah, they've hit once and they've missed once. Until you hit twice, 2 years in a row,
keep trying.
Keep going. They have the draft capital to do it.
Yep.
Continue to bring in this influx of young talent, highly thought of talent, and I think that's the right way to go.
Yep.
But as far as the Bills, you asked me about the Bills.
Yeah.
I'm kind of unexciting here. I know a lot of people are talking about Breece Hall to the Bills. And while the prospect of that is very exciting, I don't think it's the smart move. I don't think it's the smart move. You don't draft a running back in the first round anymore. I
agree with that
philosophy. Kind of running back it is. You just don't do that in the first round anymore.
Yeah, I agree with that philosophy.
And the Bills have drafted running back in the third round with this regime pretty much every year or every other year. Devin Singletary, third round pick. Zach Moss, third round pick. They don't put a premium on running back even in the first 2 rounds. And I think this might be the year we see them put a premium on running back in the second round for the first time with Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane. First time. But I just don't see it in the first round. And it really, to me, revolves around the contractual element of having a 5th-year running back. If you draft a running back in the first round, you want him on your team long term because that running back will be a very talented prospect. And if it works out for you, you get to the point in that 4th year where you're looking at running back and you're going to have to pay up for that 5th-year option for the running back. And at that point, it doesn't make sense. It's either pay him all the money in the world or pay him all the money in the world via an extension in which he will most likely be an overpriced running back a la Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey. Saquon Barkley hasn't even gotten his second contract. So,
he's not onto his second
Christian
contract.
McCaffrey, Zeke Elliott. And at that
point, Kamara's yards per touch were down last year. Right. He's on his second contract. Dalvin Cook is on his second contract. Aaron Jones
at that point, it's just
is on his second contract.
You're paying too much for what you're getting.
Yeah, most likely.
Because even
the odds are
best
against
running backs, once they hit that secondary contract, first, they might not be able to last the full duration of that contract. Second, you're paying them borderline wide receiver 1 money. You look at the contracts for Christian McCaffrey and Zeke Elliott, and they're astronomical for a running back. And it's just not economically the right thing to do, especially when you're paying your quarterback close to $50 million a year. So I think the Bills go either O-line,
which would be always a good investment. Yep.
They lost Levi Wallace. They are getting back Trey White from his torn ACL, but they need
that happens late in the season, right? So you could use some help.
They need a secondary guy. They do.
Yeah.
So I think you might see a move up in the first if they want to go get a cornerback prospect that they really covet. That would be the big splash they move. I don't think the big splash they make is going to be one that brings any sort of fantasy shockwaves. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if somebody like if McDuffie falls, Stingley's not going to fall at this point. He's going in the. But if maybe like McDuffie falls a little bit, you try to find your way. Find a way to move up. He might be the only one who would be worth it for. Other than that, Yeah,
I mean, it'll be interesting to see the way it pans out. And hey, if they do go Breece Hall in the first round, I don't think it's the smart move long term. But if they're really trying to shoot for a window within the Super Bowl window within the next 3 years,
which they should,
that might be the best move because you have Josh Allen for the next 10. You know that.
Yeah.
And you can retool like the Chiefs are doing this offseason.
Right.
After you make it to a few Super Bowls and after you win one.
Yeah. Then you can try to, not that you're looking to do this, but it's more plausible to then maybe sell an aging Stephon Diggs for what you can get in return, which the most you're getting in return in that scenario is cap space, right? And regardless of your return, you're freeing up money, sorely needed money on the cap when you're paying Josh Allen 40 plus mil, however much he's getting per year. You need to get creative with the cap. So, yeah, go all the way. I mean, that would be my philosophy. Go. This team is built to win.
But
this
how
team's
does
built
it win?
To win now.
It wins through the air.
Sure. Yeah, it
and
does.
How did it lose last year's big playoff game? It
coaching.
was defense.
Coaching.
The defense, the coaching. But not having Trey White out there and running two lesser cornerbacks against one of the greatest wide receivers of this generation and the greatest tight end of this generation, and losing that battle. Yes, there was coaching involved there.
So I agree with the sentiment and your mindset here. I'd say throw the ball on every down too. But there are certain teams, there are certain scenarios where when it gets late in the season, it behooves you to have a player in the backfield when it gets cold, when you have a lead, to punish your opponent and get and secure that win. Buffalo, like a Green Bay, like New England, like New York, like Pittsburgh, Chicago, you know where I'm going with this, cold weather cities. When it's cold, teams that having that running back, because the Buffalo's a team that's going to be built with a lot of leads. You want to be able to have that piece to help salt the game away. After you're done, throw it 50 times in the first 3 quarters, and then you get your 15, 17, 18 rush attempts in the 4th quarter with the game out of hand.
Right. No, I get that. But I just think the smart move for my team would be draft a cornerback in the first round, and then maybe see if you can trade up in the second round for a Kenneth Walker, for a Breece Hall if he falls into the second round. I think that's the smart way to play it.
To the Bills after
plug
draft.
your biggest hole, and then go after the luxury pieces after the fact.
So I know they have the 25th pick. What other picks do they have?
They just have their 25th pick in each round.
In each round?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think they might have a 2/4 or something like that. I'm not sure.
They have 8 picks total. They have 2 6th-round picks.
Okay. So
yeah. So they have the 57th pick, the 89th pick. I mean, that's enough capital to move up into the second round.
I'm not a huge fan of moving up ever. I'm more of a fan of moving back and seeing if you can accumulate a few more shots at getting a prospect that could end up filling a need for you.
Sure. In this scenario, though, with the way the Bills are currently constructed, which is a win now team, if there's a guy I really like in the second round and I know I can't wait anymore, I have to move up and make the deal now. 57 and 89 is pretty good. That's a pretty good starting point to be able to secure that move.
And I mean, trading up for a Kenneth Walker in the second round, he would immediately be the best running back on your roster. I like Devin Singletary. Yeah. We both have liked Zach Moss in the past. Duke Johnson is an intriguing guy. I mean, we saw him have 1 or 2 very good games on Miami last year, really out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of a question mark at this point. But Kenneth Walker on the Bills would be Kenneth Walker to the moon. So I kind of like that.
Oof, I would love that.
Fill the hole that you need on defense in the secondary in the first round. Trade up in the second to get that skill position player that can put you over the top. That's the way
I think that's the play. And then if you want, you can have your strategy where like the Bills aren't necessarily relying on 4th and 5th round picks this year. That's how you sprinkle out and pick up some extra assets later. Mm-hmm. That's where you kick the can down the road, turn your 4th into like a 2023,
or you just use
5th and 6th or something.
Know one of the, at least prospect-wise, position-wise, one of the deeper positions is O-line.
Yeah.
So you will probably, last year they found a very good starter on O-line in the 4th round in Spencer Brown.
So there you go.
They could. I think they would opt to do kind of the same thing this year. But we'll see how it goes. P. Diddy, what do you, thanks for joining us, first off. If Willis goes to the Steelers, should I prioritize him over anyone else at 3 if he's there? Superflex. If Willis goes anywhere, which he will, basically, once Willis is drafted, you draft him 102. If you have the shot to get him at the 103, because maybe the person at 102 isn't paying attention, is not high on his landing spot, whatever, then that's a win. That's a win. I'd take Willis at 102, literally wherever he went. Lions, 102. Steelers, 102. Falcons, 102.
The thing that gives me a little bit of pause with Pittsburgh is, do they think they're ready to compete now? Therefore, we're going to be waiting on Willis maybe a little bit longer than we'd want. And I know it's dynasty. I understand we're talking dynasty here, but year one, I think he can see the field year one if he goes to, say, the Lions.
I don't think he goes to the Steelers.
I think he goes higher. I think he goes higher.
I don't know if the Steelers trade up to get him, because they would have to. They would have to. They would have to trade into the top 5. And what are they right now? What do they pick?
They're in the 20s.
Right.
Like, say 21. They made the playoffs. They're probably around 21, 22. I would say at the 103, if he falls to the 103,
20, but yeah.
If Willis falls to the 103, then I think regardless of landing spot, you take him at 102. And that's where P. Diddy is. If you're at 102, right now today, I definitively want another landing spot before I take him that high. But at the 103, if say it's Breece Hall and I'll continue to say Garrett Wilson for now. If those are the 2 picks off the board in Superflex at the 103, I think ultimately it makes sense to just take, if Malik Willis is the first quarterback off the board, it makes sense to take him there. If he's not, let's see. There's somebody, then we got to reassess.
In the Josh Allen draft, Sam Darnold was thought of to be the best prospect basically coming into the draft, and then Baker Mayfield jumped him on draft day and got picked first. Josh Rosen was supposed to be drafted higher than Allen, and Allen got picked first, and Josh Rosen was still there. And strange things happened. Strange things can happen in this year's draft with respect to the quarterbacks. We could be looking at it, and Kenny Pickett's the first, and then Matt Corral's the second.
Yep.
Just because
what's up, Slim?
The fantasy community, what's going on, Slim, is super high on Malik Willis's intangibles as they apply to fantasy. It doesn't mean that an NFL team covets them the same way. A la,
of course,
Treylon Burks. The fantasy community had him number 1. Now that we're hearing all these rumblings about teams maybe not liking him as much as other prospects, all of a sudden some people have him ranked as the 5th best wide receiver.
Yeah.
Because NFL draft capital comes into play there. It does. Hunter L., today is Tuesday. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Love to see those green badges in the chat.
That's pretty cool.
Alex, Hunter L., love to see it. Slim,
cool.
I don't know what went on.
Oh yeah,
there was a mix-up on YouTube's end with the re-ups for the monthly memberships. We have no control over that. That's just YouTube messing up. But what's going on? Either way, it's good. It's good to have you in here. Real good to have you in here. Do y'all have any questions on any of these prospects last minute?
Or where you
draft, where you're picking, if you should move up, if you should trade your 21 pick for a 20, or your 23 pick for a 22 pick for a 23, whatever. What you should do in the second round. Throw us some questions. We're open to it.
Yeah. Or if you want whatever, if you want to make it an NFL conversation, what do you want your favorite team to do in the NFL draft? Because guess what? it's officially here. It's time to talk about all of those things. And we're happy to do that. But yeah, obviously, if there's any fantasy related questions, we're happy to take those. I guess ultimately to just say with Malik Willis today, right now, a couple days before the draft, he probably makes sense as the 103 in Superflex. So if he falls there, just take him. But we'll reevaluate over the weekend. Again, we will be live during the draft. We can officially start to let some people know about that. Remind today, if you didn't already know, we will be live for the NFL draft all 3 days, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So come kick it with us. We will talk the draft as it unfolds real time. And when the fantasy relevant players are taken, we will talk about that too, and all of the fallout depending on where their landing spot is.
I mean, we will be adjusting our rankings on the fly, and you'll be able to be in there with us while we're changing things around and moving our first ranked player down to 3 or whatever happens. We don't anticipate Breece Hall's value being moved down to 3. But regardless, yeah, man, I'm excited.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. Can't wait. So hopefully see all you guys there. See a couple more people coming in.
Was on draft day last year.
Yeah.
And we went back and we watched a little bit of it right before
it was ugly.
And it
it was ugly. We tried our hardest.
A long way, but yeah, we're excited to be going over it with you in 2 days.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Objective, what's going on?
What's going on is AJ Dillon a solid enough
in a solid enough position
to be my RB3 in a young dynasty league without any super teams. Yeah.
Yes.
Najee, Jacobs, and Dillon, and then CEH, man. Yeah, I'd be happy.
You're
with
fine
that.
there.
I'd be happy.
I like
with
that crew. Yes. AJ Dillon. Now, Aaron Jones missed a little bit of time last year, more time than he had missed on average the past couple of years. But he didn't have any like season-ending injuries or anything like that. Missed a couple of games here and there, maybe like 3 or 4. Dillon took over as the lead for carries in that backfield. He had the most carries in the Green Bay not touches, catches, all things considered. That's still Jones, but carries. Dillon took over last year. Now the Packers are still, for now, down to bare bones in the wideout department. They're for sure going to draft somebody, but they're in a position where if they want to get one of the premier players, they might need to trade up. And then they could still sign a Jarvis Landry. Who else is still out there? You get my point. There's still some players out there that they could sign in free agency, but it's not Devontae Adams commanding 170 targets. These running backs, and I'll throw Aaron Jones in there as well for any Aaron Jones people. These running backs are going to be heavily used this year in a multitude of ways, in the backfield and catching it out of the backfield.
I mean, he was getting
Dylan's in an
3-4 targets
position.
a game from Aaron Rodgers, hyper accurate targets from Aaron Rodgers last year.
And Dillon
on top
can catch.
Of the rushing, right?
Dillon can catch, so
and
yeah,
because
you're
of
good.
His big build, he has yards after the catch ability. He's kind of like a mini Derrick Henry out there. So yeah, I mean, we both love AJ Dillon, and I got to give Nick credit again on this. He sniped out AJ Dillon. Last year, he told somebody to start AJ Dillon. He told everybody basically to start AJ Dillon on a live stream, and I believe AJ Dillon had like a 3-touchdown game and went off for 100 and something yards. It was the game where Aaron Jones got injured, and you weren't predicting an injury, but you were expecting in a cold outdoor game AJ Dillon to get a lot of work, and he did. AJ Dillon is good, so I would have no issues with him as my RB3. I would be happy to have a player of that caliber as my RB3. And you don't have to worry about not asking prospect questions today. We're just here to talk football with y'all. So don't worry about that at all. And Rojo, don't worry, man. Don't burn yourself. Cook your dinner. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, keep all the fingers and toes. Hunter, is Trayvon Walker really about to go number 1 overall? It looks like that, man. I mean, he's now the odds-on favorite. He jumped Hutchison today, or maybe it was yesterday. It's looking that way. The teams are raving about him. I know there's a lot of questions. The stats that he put up, and I know this has been kind of like the beating a dead horse at this point, but it's worth talking about. Trayvon Walker looks like a good prospect, looks like a good player, was a really good player on an incredible Georgia defense that won the national championship. But Trayvon Walker, from his position, has put up some of the lowest stat totals, like tackles and sacks, of any player who's going to be drafted this high ever. So there are some serious questions about Trayvon Walker as a player long-term relative to being taken this high in the draft. It's going to be a lot of pressure going number 1 overall, but Vegas likes him now to be that pick to Jacksonville. Personally, I think it should be Evan Neal, like secure the offensive line. If you're Jacksonville, you have Trevor Lawrence, you have a bit more of a like stable foundation now that Urban Meyer is gone. Like Doug Peterson might not be that fun, or, he's kind of a boring pick, but like, call it what it is. There's got to be, you can't think there's anything more than like some stability for that team now. Add to it. Add to the offensive line. You have your piece in Trevor Lawrence.
You have 2 running backs who are coming back from injuries.
Yeah.
So you
get Evan Neal, or if it's
right.
or if it's another one of the offensive linemen, the other offensive lineman that's projected to go high. Take your favorite one, secure your quarterback. Yeah. Help out your backfield a little bit. Get this young insurance you need for for the investment that you made in Trevor Lawrence. That's what I think I would do in this scenario. When you're Jacksonville, when the offense and the defense both need work, I would personally go offense first because it's an offensive league. But yeah, it's going to be a tremendous amount of pressure on Trayvon Walker, and it'll be nice playing next to Josh Allen. And they have the makings of a decent young defensive line down there. But a lot of question marks based on the production that he had in college.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of speaks to just this entire draft class. Every position, even the highest rated prospects, have question marks, have some sort of word on their profile.
Sure.
So, I mean, not a fantasy conversation really, because we're talking about non-fantasy players unless you're in IDP or something like that. But
yeah.
I do believe just how the top end of the first round is going to play out speaks to just the general talent pool in this draft class.
Yeah.
But Slim, you got the 103 and the 106, and you're projected to get them O-State wide receivers, or one of them in a combination of Hall or Walker. All right. I mean, I'd be happy with that return if I got both of the Ohio State wide receivers.
I'd be just fine with that.
And you like the position your Chargers have put themselves in. Yeah, man, that the Chargers might be the most improved team through this offseason. Is there a more improved team than the Chargers? Miami. But is there a more? I don't think there's a more improved team outside of Miami than the Chargers.
Well, I guess where the jury is out is Cleveland. But the jury's out right now, and the Chargers, we know what Justin Herbert is, and there's no issues surrounding Justin Herbert. So I'll give the edge to the Chargers. As
Slim,
far as
what do you want the Chargers to do in the draft? What do you want them to do?
Got to be offensive line, right? It's got to be the left. It's got to be that left side of the offensive line,
and a bruising running back, maybe a Brian Robinson,
sure.
Something like that.
Sure,
later on,
something like that. I mean, they have a stud in Rashawn Slater, but they need another tackle.
Yeah.
I would think that's where they should try to go, picking in the middle of the first round. That's what I would do anyway. Secure the offensive line in front of Justin Herbert and profit.
I mean, yeah, they already they got Khalil Mack.
They got Khalil Mack.
They got
trade with
Jackson.
The Bears. They got J.C. Jackson.
Right.
Yep.
So their defense.
Re-signed Mike Williams.
You're good. Your wide receivers, you're good. You don't have a lot at tight end. You don't have anybody of note behind Austin Eckler, and you need to fix that O-line. And that's really
they signed Gerald Everett.
You're right.
They signed Gerald Everett.
Right. Never mind. So
he's got a little
O-line and running
tight end.
back. O-line and secondary running back. And this is a good draft to get a secondary running back in.
Yep. Yep.
Because outside of the top two, they're all secondary running backs.
Yeah. No, I like the situation that they're in. They need to just overcome their own shortcomings at this point. The Chargers have just been snake bitten. It seems they get in their own way every year. Last year, you can say Brandon Staley went for it too much on fourth down. I disagree. They just didn't it came down to the Chargers are now in a situation. I love the head coach. I love the head coach. He's aggressive. He goes for it on fourth down. When the situation says, yeah, no, statistically, you are much more likely than not to pick this up. So go for it. That's what the computer says. So go for it. And he did. The team just didn't execute. They just didn't get it done. Like the team just did not get it done on a lot of the fourth down calls when it made sense to go for it. If they can, if the law of averages works out and they do go for it at the same rate next year, but they hit on it a few more times than they don't, they're going to win those games instead of losing them by 7 points or less. They just need their fortunes to turn around a little bit, but they've got their roster's top heavy. There's no doubt.
And I mean, weren't they still learning the offense for the majority of last season?
I mean, sure. Yeah. It's a new head coach. So it's a new system. Yeah.
Maybe in that second year, all it takes is familiarity within the system for everybody involved to where those fourth down conversions really do start to swing their way. So, yeah, the Chargers are going to be dangerous.
Yep. I would think so.
I think the Chargers might be this year's Bengals. And then it pains me because my Bills are in the AFC. But
well, maybe they're the ones hosting the AFC Championship game, and the Chargers got to come east for a cold game.
I would love that.
So there you go. But the division's going to be nuts. The division's going to be absolutely insane. The Chiefs are still the Chiefs. Like, as long as Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback, we know can't rule him out, can't discount him.
Raiders improved. Speaking of Waller,
Broncos
and we'll
improved.
get to this Waller news.
Yep.
Yeah, the Broncos definitely improved.
Broncos
Raiders
got Russell Wilson.
Raiders
picked up Devontae Adams.
That whole division's going to be crazy. That's must watch TV.
I envision a lot of prime time games for that division in our near future.
Yep. Yeah. But this Waller news. I mean, we've had reports yesterday that the Packers were in on Waller before and during the Devontae Adams trade talks, but they could not trade for him because something with franchise tagged player and injured player. There's a contractual something in the CBA or something like that in the rules where they couldn't get that done. Still have interest in him, but a report came out today where there's that. Where Waller should be staying put.
That's the last that I saw.
A lot of smoke screens going on right now.
Yeah.
A lot of misdirection going on right now. Again, we are 2 days before the draft, and a lot of these teams are trying to get the psychological edge on the other GMs, front offices, whatever. I don't know what kind of edge this brings to any team, but I do think it's a whole lot of nothing. I think Waller's staying put. Personally.
For now, I have to think so. If the Packers really want a tight end, I mean, it is likely going to have to be through a trade. This is not. If you're the Packers, you don't want to be drafting a tight end. Not now, because in all likelihood, by the time that player is ready, Aaron Rodgers is going to be 42.
Unless it's Jelani Woods, they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be drafting a tight end.
They shouldn't be drafting a tight end because by the time that player's ready, Aaron Rodgers will be 42 years old. So if they really want a tight end, I guess Waller would make sense. Rodgers hasn't really had strong tight end play throughout his career.
It's not a position he targets outside of the one Robert Tonyan season. I mean, he's had Jimmy Graham at tight end. He had Jermichael Finley, who, I mean, everybody dropped Michael Finley.
Yeah, unfortunately, he didn't pan out.
But I think a lot of that had to do with just Aaron Rodgers doesn't target tight ends heavily. He had Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham was barely a top 10 tight end, and he was still good. He goes to another team, and he's a top 10 tight end.
Was he a top tight end with the Bears?
He was. Last year, he was the last tight end one, or the year before.
Just because of
he
random
was the last
touchdown,
tight end one because of those touchdowns. Yeah.
Random touchdown luck. Yeah.
But he went to Green Bay, and I'm not sure where he ranked. Maybe he was still in the top 10 there, but he wasn't winning you any fantasy championships.
No.
And he was still technically in that early 30s range where you can still be productive from the tight end position. And he just wasn't. So, yeah, I don't know. And yes, Waller's more of a wide receiver. Split him out wide and stuff. I just don't know if that's the move they would make. And it looks like the Raiders don't want to move him. So
yeah, I can't imagine they actually want to do that. They probably feel like they're contenders now after they added Devontae Adams. They're probably thinking to themselves, we don't want to move our veteran pieces
in this division now, because you have to take into account they're in that division. They need all the firepower they can get.
They need all the help they can get.
New head coach Josh McDaniels, right?
Yeah.
He wants to come out of the gates hot. Yeah. I don't see it. I'm not gonna lock that in, Hunter L. I don't see it. I think it's a little bit of just some NFL chatter, and nothing will become of it. But would be interesting if it did. It would be.
Yep.
Plus, Josh McDaniels knows the value of having a very good tight end on his team.
Oh, he's well aware.
Right. So I don't see it. I don't see it.
Yeah.
It's like having a wide receiver on your team that you don't have to pay wide receiver money. I don't see them moving him.
Yeah.
Johnny Jones, what's going on? And the objective,
Johnny?
No worries. Thank you for being in here. If you have any more questions, you already know.
Oh, yeah.
But Johnny Jones with the 109 and no particular need, you think I should try workshopping my pick, potentially trading for Ayuk or Mooney, or maybe throwing the pick in a package or something? Sure.
Is it one quarterback?
Even if it's two quarterback, I would do that. If you can.
If I can get one of those guys, yeah.
If you can get Mooney.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah, he looked good last year, emerging as he might be the Bears wide receiver 1 this year. He probably will be.
He will be. They lost Allen Robinson and replaced him with Equinemius St. Brown.
Yeah.
That's it. They got Cole Kmet
they could draft somebody.
Mooney.
Or no, the Bears don't have a first round pick this year, right? Because of the Justin Fields trade last year.
It's going to be a bad team playing from behind a lot, and they're going to be utilizing Mooney as their primary playmaker in the entire offense a lot, because I think he's their primary playmaker over David Montgomery.
Yup.
Mooney is a dark horse to be a low end wide receiver 1. Because I think he's going to get low-end wide receiver 1 usage. He's a dark horse. I'm not saying that's going to happen. High-end wide receiver 2, low-end wide receiver 1. He was a mid-tier to high-tier wide receiver 2 last year.
Yes, he was.
All he needs is a few more targets thrown his way.
And some consistency, which should come in with the departure of Matt Nagy's stale offense that did not work.
Yeah. No, Mooney was wide receiver 22.
Okay, so he was firmly a wide receiver 2. It was a low end wide receiver 2, but he was firmly a low end wide receiver 2 for the season. And I think he got off to a bit of a slower start, if I'm remembering that correctly. So came on strong to end the year, especially when it started to become a thing where we knew, like, once we knew Allen Robinson wasn't happening this year, he stepped up.
Yeah, he did. I'm trying to look here. Mooney. Yeah, all right. If you subtract the first 7 games, he was the wide receiver 16. Now
that's a lot of games.
It is a lot of games, man, but like that's still 11 games sample size. That's more of a sample size than we got from Elijah Moore being a high-end fantasy option. It's more of a sample size than we had from Amon-Ra being a high-end fantasy wide receiver. I mean, 11 games isn't a small sample size, and Darnell Mooney was right behind Tyreek Hill through that span. Ahead of Godwin doesn't count.
Godwin got hurt, yeah.
But ahead of Brandon Cooks, ahead of A.J. Brown, ahead of DJ Moore, ahead of CeeDee Lamb, ahead of Mike Williams, who was the wide receiver 12 on the season, Darnell Mooney's good. And just because
He
he's
is
small
good.
and on a bad team, people are overlooking him. He's going to have a very good fantasy season next year.
You want wide receivers on bad teams because that means that the teams are playing with a deficit. That means they need to keep throwing the ball to keep pace. You want wide receivers on bad.
Would you rather trade the 109? I know you're a fan of Ayuk. Would you rather trade the 109 for Ayuk or Mooney?
Today, right now, it's got to be Mooney. And I like Ayuk. That's tough. But I would say Mooney is in a situation like, he's going to be the number one option. Brandon Ayuk, if Debo stays, which seems unlikely, but it hasn't happened yet. Brandon Ayuk could on any given week be his team's wide receiver 3 option or 3rd in the pecking order.
Yeah.
There's not going to be too many games where Darnell Mooney is less than 1st or 2nd.
I don't think there's going to be many games where he's less than 1st. I think
I think Mooney. The pick would have to be Mooney. If I'm moving the pick, and those are my 2 options, Mooney.
Already has rapport with his quarterback. His quarterback is going to grow as a passer. Mooney.
And I mean, if Garoppolo stays, then Ayuk has the same.
Now here's the question:
continuity, but we don't know that.
Here's a question:
will happen. Sure.
Considering Tyreek Hill got moved to the Miami Dolphins, and everybody's a little bit down on Waddle right now because we're not sure if there's going to be enough of a target share for him.
There's overlap.
Would you trade the 109 for Waddle over trying to trade the 109 for Mooney?
Yes.
So there's another option for you. Johnny, you asked, are there any other young guys that you should try to get for that pick? If the Waddle
that might be
owner,
a little ambitious.
Hey, I like being ambitious. If the Waddle
sure
is a little wary about having all these other mouths to feed in Miami, maybe see if he is amenable to trading Waddle for the 109. Or maybe even a little extra. If it's the 109 and 209, honestly, I'd do that. To get Waddle, something like that. Any other young guys, and we'll get back to doing these chats in order, but any other young guys that you would try to trade the 109 to acquire? You traded the 108 for Chase Claypool.
I did. Well, I was able to get an asset back in return for that. I guess I was thinking more like at that time when I made the trade for Claypool. I was looking for a young wide receiver, and Claypool's still only, I think, 23, 24 years old. I was looking for a young guy who was maybe his value was a little down. I couldn't get him for a 2nd-round pick, but I knew I could get him for a 1st and maybe get something back in return, which I did, like just an extra draft pick, who, we're high on as it pertains to RIS score for wide receivers, a player who was a little down on his luck last year, scoring only 1 touchdown. I think that comes back to life this year with better quarterback play, which shouldn't be hard given what Ben Roethlisberger just went through. So, in that regard, if I can get Claypool with a 1st-round pick versus you can get Brandon Ayuk or Darnell Mooney for a 1st-round pick, that's better. So maybe I lowballed myself a little bit with that trade, but also I do like Claypool as a player long term.
No, I mean that's an offense to tie yourself to, I believe, because at least with the top 2 wide receivers in mind, because they're gonna get a ton of work. They're gonna get a ton of work, and their quarterback's a better quarterback than they've pretty much ever had while playing together.
Yeah.
So I think it was a good investment for you to get Claypool. I'm high on Claypool. We both are. I mean, we've seen the ceiling with him, and it's multiple touchdown games.
Yeah, like 2 touchdown games.
Right. Didn't he have like 11 touchdowns on his big...
Yeah, he had 11 touchdowns.
Season?
And in the playoff game they played, which this obviously doesn't count toward that total, he caught 2 touchdowns in that game too. So they were getting boat raced, so they needed to throw the ball all day, but it still happened. I would say the absolute limit as far as young players to try to go for with the 109, see if you can get DJ Moore.
Yeah, he's only 24, going on 25.
He's only right
there. They should.
He's
have
really good.
Quarterback.
I'm going to assume that's not enough. But if the person who has DJ Moore is concerned about the quarterback play, and maybe this is something. Well, you could gamble. If the Panthers don't take a quarterback at 6, we might be waiting another year for DJ Moore to have a good quarterback. So like maybe wait until the NFL draft, see if the Panthers get if the Panthers pass on a quarterback, you might be able to trade the 109 for DJ Moore and maybe get like a third in return or something. Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot.
So depends on the game you want to play. If that were a player that to interest you, but just throwing a scenario out there, Oh, he's been trying to get more all season. There you go.
Well, hey, if Nick's scenario plays out, that might be what gets him there.
I'm sending support to you to wish that into existence.
Could you try to get Elijah Moore again?
Sure.
After the Jets draft another wide receiver, because everything points to them drafting another wide receiver. As soon as a Drake London or something goes to the Jets, Elijah Moore's value will dip. And we've said it before. We are not worried about Drake London being in the same wide receiver depth chart, wide receiver room as a guy like Elijah Moore.
Yup.
So maybe see if you can do that, swing that. But yeah, if you can get Mooney, I like that too. Hunter L, draft Jelani Woods and never look back. You stole the words out of my mouth.
Yes, sir.
And Johnny, that's 1 QB. Fair enough. Slim, best milkshake.
Dang.
I mean,
I don't mind the classic.
It's probably Khalees's, right?
What? Khalees's?
Khalees. Her milkshake.
Oh, Jesus.
No.
You out your mind. Yeah. You out your damn mind.
Hey.
I mean, I'm pretty classic with milkshakes. I like black and white, but I would also probably go like a salted caramel type.
I'm boring, man. A vanilla milkshake.
Vanilla? Nothing?
Good.
Nothing else added? No, not even
good, bro.
You vanilla.
With my milkshakes.
Yeah, you are.
Sure. Yeah.
Apparently.
I guess. And
Apparently.
Slim, yeah, we're really big on Mooney. We're really big on Naheem Hines, Nick.
I think both are going to be good. I think both are going to be good. Naheem Hines, people forget, has an RB2 season under his belt. It's easy to forget because Jonathan Taylor was so good last year, so Hines only finished as like an RB5. But the season before that, Naheem Hines was an RB2. Now he gets an upgrade in quarterback play. And any amount, like you can expect, it's fair to expect a little bit, not a significant amount, but a little bit of regression from Jonathan Taylor. I still, Taylor is deservedly the RB1 off all boards right now, dynasty and redraft, and is a top 5 player in consideration in those super flex formats. But you can never expect duplicate numbers from a career season. I mean, Naheem Hines has high upside RB3 potential this year.
Yeah. Just
spelling more. Not saying that like Taylor's going to underperform, but just like give him an extra blow here and there. Like,
Yeah, I like Naheem Hines. I
like
both of those guys. So
yeah, I like them both.
Hunter L. So Aiden Hutchinson is about 200 plus 200, and I may or may not have taken. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I mean, look, Hutchinson has been the favorite to go 101 for a few weeks now. I don't think that's a bad bet. I think that's fine. I think that's safe. Does Vegas always know what they're doing? Yeah. Do they have the best people working there? Yeah. But there are legit. It's not like Trayvon Walker has cemented himself all offseason long. It's just a hype play right now. Now, the last time I remember this happening, and it actually happened, was the rumors the day of, like the morning of the draft, that the Browns were pivoting off of Darnold and were going to take Baker Mayfield number 1 overall. And I remember waking up thinking to myself, they can't possibly do that, but they did. So sometimes when there is smoke, there's fire, but Hutchinson has been in the conversation for the first overall pick and has kind of, he had previously settled in as the consensus for at least a couple weeks running. I don't think that's a bad bet to take, given that Trayvon Walker is in no way, shape, or form a slam dunk. So, yeah, when the odds moved off of a Hutchinson to be the favorite and you'd pounce, I'd say that's a savvy play.
Now, are there any bets you can make on players that if a player will be drafted in the first round?
Yeah, you can make stuff like that.
Because all you need to do is look at the prospects set to attend the 2022 NFL Draft.
Well, yeah, there's
21 prospects set to attend.
That's pretty safe.
And if they're going to the draft, they are under the impression that they're going to get drafted.
Hutchinson for sure got one of those in, but I mean...
Oh, no, I'm not talking strictly about Hutchinson right now. I'm just talking about you could make
Gotcha.
You could make a whole bunch of bets on... You could make 21 bets that the 21 players that are currently attending the NFL Draft will get drafted in the first round, and you'll probably come out with some money in your pocket.
Yeah, ask Geno Smith how that went for him.
Hey, you might.
Okay. You know.
Yeah, I guess.
Not that was his fault, but it did happen.
It did happen.
Like waiting in the green room. I felt bad for him. I was like, someone please take this guy.
He made it out all right. He's cool.
Yeah, he did it fine. He's getting some money. You know.
But thanks for the question, Hunter L.
Yeah.
I'm just going to side with Nick on that.
For your sake, I hope Hutchinson goes number 1 overall because you get a nice little payout there.
JML Sports, what's going on? Sure, go Browns. What do you think the Browns are going to be doing?
Well, they don't have much draft capital.
But I mean, with what they have, what do you think they're going to be doing? And how do you feel about Deshaun Watson right now? Now that the water's kind of settled on the trade.
Yep.
How do you feel, JML, about your Browns?
He's at the offseason program, so let's go.
And what do you think they're going to be doing with Mayfield,
They'll trade him somewhere. Seattle, Houston, like Carolina. They'll trade him somewhere. Not for much, but they'll trade him somewhere. Slim's thinking about Pierre Strong in the 3rd round of his rookie draft. What do you think of that?
I mean, if he's still there at 307, absolutely.
Yeah,
but I don't know if he's going to be there at 307.
You think he sneaks into the or goes higher?
I think you're looking at. I mean, if we had the 301 and 302, we would both be drafting Pierre Strong with that pick.
Probably, right? Yeah. Probably.
I just don't know if he's gonna be there. If he goes to a good landing spot that people like, he could shoot up into 2nd round value.
Yeah.
Because these boards are gonna change. They're gonna change a lot, especially in that who do you draft in the 2nd round, who do you draft in the 3rd round tier. Because that's where, and 4th round too, that's where it's really landing spot over talent versus talent over landing spot. You go talent over landing spot in the 1st round. You go landing spot over talent in a draft like this, probably halfway through 3 picks into the 2nd round.
Probably, yeah.
And I just don't know if Pierre Strong is going to be there at 307. If you can find a way to trade up to the 301, 302 to give yourself a little bit more of a, if you really like the prospect, give yourself a little bit more ammunition to go out and get that guy. But at 307, there should be other running backs there. You should be able to get Dameon Pierce, Kyron Williams, Tyler Algiers, who Nick really likes.
I gotta think somebody's gonna take Kyron way earlier than that. Unless he bottoms out in the NFL draft. People see names early in the offseason and they don't correct.
Right. I mean, Isaiah Spiller is going to be going in the first round in the majority of drafts, despite what everybody's been saying about him, and we have been saying about him for the past 2 months.
Yeah, he's going to go. Yeah, he's going to go high.
Rashad White is somebody that's probably going to get drafted around the turn. James Cook is probably somebody that's going to get drafted in the middle rounds, in the mid-second. Zamir White, probably somebody that people are looking at in the mid-second. And then it's Pierre Strong. So in the middle of the third, you're looking at Dameon Pierce, Brian Robinson, Tyler Algiers, somebody like that. If Pierre Strong fell to 307, take him easy.
Scoop him.
Just don't know if he's going to be there for you. Yeah. But we both like Pierre Strong. Nick first more than I did, and then I just kind of got put onto him. If there is a Elijah Mitchell clone in this year's draft, it's Pierre Strong. It is.
Not that those scenarios always play out as well as we want them to, but like when making a comparison like that. But yeah. I mean, if the landing spot is right, that's all it takes.
And Johnny, well, try more.
Oh yeah, got him.
Slim, according to a guy in my league, no running back in this year's class is better than Elijah Mitchell. He's asking for a top 5 pick.
Yeah, you can go ahead and balk at that price.
Yeah, you can pass. You can pass.
I'll call his bluff.
Breece Hall is going to be better than Elijah Mitchell. And Kenneth Walker has a shot to be better than Elijah Mitchell. And one of these running backs that's drafted after that is probably going to, has a shot at least, or will get a shot to be what Elijah Mitchell was last year for a team. It happens.
Yeah.
James Robinson before Elijah Mitchell. Like, it just happens. It's just, you never know which one it's going to be, but could be Pierre Strong.
Could be.
You traded Elijah for Connor already, so you got Connor?
You got Connor, Johnny?
Okay.
We're not crazy about Connor just because he's a lot of his production.
Band-Aid for a contender.
Yeah, a lot of his production came on the back of not a lot, but a lot came on the back of 18 touchdowns. That's just like, it's a lot of touchdowns to potentially have to replicate. And if Arizona drafts a running back, which I think, or makes a move to acquire a running back, which I think is fair expectation. Now, they did pay James Conner. They gave him a lot of money. So I think he's still their 1A.
I believe so. Yeah.
I think he's still their 1A regardless of what happens.
You traded
in the draft.
away Connor. Okay, so you got Elijah Moore. Good job. We both like that. Good job. That's great value.
Okay, got it.
Elijah is I believe 22 years old.
Oh, okay, God. Damn, that's so much better.
That's a great trade.
That's so much better. Woo! Okay, I'm happy for you for that. Yes.
Yeah, we were kind of sweating, giving you narratives that would make you feel good about trading away Elijah Moore for James Conner.
Yeah.
But the fact that you got Elijah Moore, great job.
No, I think that's a good move. Connor is not going to fall off a cliff next year. He's still going to be effective. It's still a good offense. It's just a lot of touchdowns to duplicate.
The only way you should be holding him right now is if you are a top 2, top 3 contender in your league, and it's not close. Like, it might be top 3, and then there's a drop off there.
Sure.
If you don't have a team like that, you should have already sold Connor.
Move him to the team who is top 3.
Move him before the draft. Move him within the next 2 days if you have Connor on your dynasty team and you aren't a contender. And even if you are, you might want to think about it. Move him within the next 2 days before Arizona picks up a running back as a running mate for him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yep. And yo, Rojo, glad you're done cooking. Slim.
No burns.
Said John, you're right. Yeah, I know. It's Khaleesi's milkshake, yo.
Stop.
I gotta try a birthday cake milkshake. All right, it's a game changer.
I mean, I've had birthday cake ice cream from like, what's it called? Cold Stone. That stuff was like crack for the first like 5 bites. And then it was, or maybe more than that, because I have a big sweet tooth. I can definitely eat dessert. But like halfway through the birthday cake ice cream from Cold Stone, which is just like this thick concoction of sugar, I was like, I'm going to die. I'm going to get diabetes and die. Like, well, not to make a joke about that, but I was like, I am going to get a sugar overload. I feel terrible. I'm going to die. So it was good though. It was very tasty, but I did not feel very good afterwards. But I can attest birthday cake that's a hell of a flavor for like ice cream. It's a hell of a drug. Yeah, basically, yeah. Basically, yeah.
Jazz, is Andre Miller, Denzel Mims, and Jalen Reagor all donezo? I mean, Andre Miller for sure. Denzel Mims, yeah. And Reagor, I would believe so.
Mims and Reagor are going to get another opportunity somewhere else, I think. Like, someone will sign them as like to a practice squad, and maybe they get an opportunity with another team. Both being, high draft capital. Reagor was a first-round pick. Mims was a second-round pick. Those players don't just like go away, even though they have not at all worked out their first couple of years. But we're talking about it. The odds are stacked against you now. When you are this unproductive for the first couple of seasons of your career, I mean, now more than ever, look at what's happening with these teams. More and more teams are accumulating young wide receivers at as fast of a rate that they can. And when you end up as a player through your first couple seasons, if you're not showing anything, everyone else is just going to move on, because it's like, well, we could sign this guy to the league minimum, or we could just draft this other dude in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
Who can't be any worse.
Now, Denzel Mims.
It's tough.
The thing about Denzel Mims specifically in this group, and he'd be the only one that I'd be really trying to hold on to at all. Any of the other, Reagor and Miller, I'd just be like, all right, you can cut your losses and move on.
Yeah.
Mims was, from the jump, not a fit in the offense. From the jump, that was the thing. And Robert Saleh kept on coming out with, he's not a fit for what we want on the field. And that could be why the Mims experiment just never worked out, because he wasn't what they wanted on the field. If another GM says, oh, I remember when that guy was coming out, I liked him and we didn't get a shot, let's bring him in and see if we can figure him out, if we can unlock that potential. Because GMs and head coaches and stuff, they like to be the smartest guy out there, be able to say, hey, I unlocked that guy when you couldn't. So Mims is still on my radar there. He could go the way of a Laquan Treadwell, where 4 years in Minnesota, did basically nothing. Went elsewhere to Atlanta, didn't do anything. Went to Jacksonville, had his best year, albeit 4 yards and 1 touchdown. Not a great fantasy season, but at least was, for the stretch that he was used, a low-end wide receiver 3.
Yeah.
And those can be valuable. So if you have a 30-man roster and you have a choice between Denzel Mims and, I don't know, maybe you're, I don't know, any other guy, depending on the landing spot, just
like
because he is so young.
The Titans,
right?
Like if it's Westbrook-Akine or something like that.
If it's him or Chester Rogers on your squad, I would rather have Denzel Mims.
Take a shot on Mims.
If it's him or Josh Reynolds, I would rather have Denzel Mims.
Okay.
If it's him or Equinemius St. Brown,
rather have Mims.
I think I might rather have Mims. depending on how that depth chart works out. Now, if St. Brown is the number 2 on that team, no. But that's just a very specific situation. But, yeah, okay. Andre Miller, Rager, I believe Redunzo, Mims, just because Rager we've seen on the field not be good.
It's not good.
Mims I haven't yet seen on the field not be good.
Yeah,
he just hasn't made it to the field. So I'd be intrigued to see what he can do before moving on from him, because I believe he's still only, 23, 24 years old?
He's not old. Neither's Rager, but, Like, I can see Rager going the way of Treadwell, where his career best is like 400 yards, 500 yards in a season, but it's not till his 5th or 6th season, and he's
When was Nelson Aguilar drafted? Was he a first-round pick?
Yeah, 2010? No, oh my God, it wasn't that long ago. 2015? Was he 2015? I think 2015 or 2016, somewhere around there.
Well, I mean, the guy like that, first-round pick, made a little bit of a splash, didn't work out on multiple teams, goes to a team like the Raiders, they unlock his potential. He has 700 yards and a couple touchdowns, is a wide receiver 3. That could be in the range of possibilities for a Mims or even a Rager.
Even a Rager. Yeah, he was 2015 NFL draft was Aguilar. So, I mean, we're talking 7 years later, he's still around. So way more. I mean, much more productive than Rager had been. Not that when I say much more, I mean take it with a grain of salt. No,
but Aguilar was at least a wide receiver 3. He wasn't the wide receiver 2 / maybe even wide receiver 1 that you wanted when you drafted him.
Right.
But
Rager was never that.
Yeah.
Not even close.
So I hope that helps. Rojo, you traded the 22-306 and the 23 second and the 24 first for Zeke and Pollard, 2 separate trades.
It was a 2023
year and then moving forward.
2023 second for Pollard, and then a 2020 a third this year and a 24 first for Zeke. That was the breakdown of it.
Okay.
So now he has both Zeke and Pollard. Which I feel much better about acquiring Zeke because you also got Pollard for not that much. A 2023 second for Pollard is a good deal. I said that's pretty good. I would take Pollard in that in that trade. So that's good. You're right. The 2024 first can be reaccumulated or should be able to be. It's just it feels like a lot for Zeke, who I think is very close to done.
We were in Denver together with other league mates and leagues that we were in, and the person who had Zeke in the Superflex league was trying to get rid of him for a second-round pick.
I was just
so a first and a third is considerably more than that, but
now he's got a top 3 team,
right?
So he's going for it this year, which
okay.
I can.
But yeah, no, I love the Pollard move. Getting Pollard for a second is great. That's awesome.
Counters the 24 first for Zeke, maybe a little bit.
And Zeke, I think he can still be solid this year.
Yeah,
I
agree.
He can still be solid. Maybe
this
RB
year.
12.
Yeah.
RB 11, RB 10.
Yeah.
But I think it is the last year. So you bought yourself a very low end RB 1 and his insurance, and then moving forward, I think Pollard overtakes Zeke after this season, and we'll see what happens with Zeke. There's a chance that Zeke might be on another team, like you allude to, which would be best case scenario for this trade.
I don't think so. I think the Cowboys are stuck with that contract.
What is his spot track? Let me see.
It's outrageous. It's outrageous.
Yeah, he is one of those, and that, again, is the danger of teams investing high draft picks and a large contract into the running back position.
I mean, they had to trade Amari Cooper this year for like a 5th-round pick. The Zeke contract is killing them.
After this year, they can save $10 million on the cap by cutting Zeke.
By cutting him?
This is after this year. It's the first time where it makes sense for them to do so because there's only about $6 million in dead cap over 2023 and 2024.
Okay, so then that would make sense for them to do that.
So yeah, I could see them moving on from Zeke after this season and this trade working out for you in the long term, because Zeke is going to go somewhere where he's going to get work until his legs fall off. And Pollard will be the heir apparent to a crazy workload in one of the most high-octane offenses in the NFL. So, yeah,
just to that point, Dallas would draft a running back.
Yeah.
And Zeke would probably not. I'm going to go ahead and sit bank on wherever Zeke ends up, his next team, he's not going to be a desirable asset. So, yeah, you're going for it this year.
Zeke
but then I would try to move Zeke for what you can get after 2022.
I mean, Zeke could be in a Melvin Gordon type situation where he's in a much more even timeshare than he has been in Dallas.
Yeah.
And he ends up being a low to mid tier RB2, next year and going into 2023, 2024. But after that, at some point, the wheels are going to fall off.
At that point, he'll have accumulated so many touches.
Yeah. But I love you getting Pollard, man. That's the cherry on the top here.
That's the cherry. Yeah.
All right, what do you think about Braxton Berrios' value and outlook?
So, let me pull up his stats really quickly, because I know he was decently productive with the Jets last year, and he's still only 26 years old. He'll be 27 when the season starts, but they committed to him with like a 2-year deal, right? Mm-hmm. 46 catches last year, 430 yards, 2 touchdowns. He played 16 games, but I think a lot of that was sparingly until it was out of necessity when Corey Davis was lost to injury and Elijah Moore missed time due to COVID. But I like him. I think he's strong depth for an NFL team, for an NFL team's wide receiver core. He's going to move down the depth chart a little bit if and when the Jets draft a wide receiver high, because they will have Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, and whoever they use either the 4th or 10th pick on. So Berrios is looking at a situation where he's not higher than 4th on the depth chart, but the vibes on the Jets, I think right now are good. It's for fantasy purposes as it pertains to their offense. There's a lot of intrigue teetering on excitement around Zach Wilson and what he can do as a quarterback. If the Jets can shore up their offensive line a little bit more, they have the makings of a sneaky, decently deep offense. Because Elijah Moore looks good. Corey Davis is still a good veteran player who should be just fine in year 2 if he's healthy. Whether they add Drake London or Garrett, or maybe they do draft Garrett Wilson or whoever they end up with, that's another piece to the offense. He's not going to be stepping into a situation, whoever it is, where the load is going to be on him or the expectations are going to be on him to perform. So that helps. But he's going to leapfrog Berrios as a first-round pick, whoever it is. So for Berrios to retain, a shot at wide receiver 3 value, he's going to need the Jets to end up ultimately passing on a wide receiver at 4 and 10. It seems like they're not going to do that. So with that said, Berrios is, again, solid depth for an NFL team. Probably not more than a wide receiver 4 for your fantasy squad, but still being only 26 years old, still plenty of room to improve. He averaged over 10 yards a catch as more of a slot guy, so that's pretty good. So he's good depth. He's not, it's hard to put anything else on him other than that. And I mean that in a positive way. He deserves a roster spot in this league as a team's 3rd or 4th wide receiver. But because that's his ceiling, I think it's fair to say the Jets, again, he's probably going to be 4th on the depth chart. He's not more than a wide receiver 4 in fantasy. But for Dynasty, when you got 30-man rosters or more, he's obviously someone you roster and will be worth a stream in plus matchups probably more than one time during the season.
And he is more of a value in PPR formats than in standard.
Absolutely.
By default.
No question.
Yeah, his range of outcomes for me is somewhere in between 400 to 600 yards and maybe 2 to 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And if you have him on your squad and everybody ahead of him gets injured, obviously, then he becomes an upside wide receiver 3 that you are happy that you have. But outside of that scenario, I can't really envision you playing Berrios unless you're really lacking at wide receiver. Yeah, I mean, basically, Berrios, wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 in fantasy, unless injuries ahead of him occur, in which case you'd reevaluate. But I look at him like I looked at like Chris Hogan a few years ago, right? Just a guy that is always open for his team, but not necessarily a fantasy asset. Somebody who's much more valuable in an NFL context than a fantasy context. But I don't not like Berrios. I don't. And we've seen those players overachieve sometimes, depending on where they go and the opportunity that they get. Nobody was expecting Hunter Renfrow to be a mid-tier wide receiver 2 last year. And he is kind of the same player. But, yeah, wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 value, probably more like wide receiver, low-end wide receiver 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Iron, would you rather have Penny or Mitchell this season? I'm trying to trade the 103 for one of them. I would rather have Mitchell, and it's not even close.
Yeah, I'd rather have Mitchell.
Yeah.
He's got much more standing in the league. As far as having the rookie deal right now in his back pocket. Penny's on basically like 1-year prove it deals for till further
and
notice.
And he's 26, I believe. Elijah Mitchell
much younger.
Is 24.
Yeah, not much younger, but a couple of years younger.
In wide receiver years, he's 23, and he just turned 23. So in wide receiver years, no, he will turn 24 in a month or in a few days. But
Elijah Mitchell will.
Yeah, but in wide receiver years, if you can save 2 years of a wide receiver's career in Dynasty, I would rather have the 24-year-old than the 26-year-old, especially considering the 26-year-old injury concerns all over the place. He really only did what he did over a 4 to 5 game stretch.
Yeah, Mitchell was a little bit more consistent all season long.
On a team that should be better.
Should be good
than the Seahawks.
The Seahawks are
on
bad.
A team where they know how to utilize the running back position pretty much more than any other team. Or at least over the past few years, they've shown that ability. So yeah, Mitchell, and it's not even close. Now, would you trade the 103 for Mitchell?
Am I getting the 103?
No, he says, would you rather have Penny or Mitchell this season? I'm trying to trade one for the 103.
I'd rather have
he's trying to get Mitchell or Penny for the 103.
I'd rather have the 103.
You'd rather have Kenneth Walker or somebody like that? Because ideally you could.
Is it super flex? Is it super flex iron?
But if he's trying to get a running back, would you rather have Kenneth Walker, who you don't know where he's going to go, or Penny or Mitchell?
Walker, because Walker's probably going to have day 2 draft capital.
So Iron, I would not make any moves.
I would hold the 103.
I like Elijah
Garrett
Mitchell.
Wilson falls. I like Elijah Mitchell too, but Elijah Mitchell's a 6th round pick. Kenneth Walker, I think, will be a 2nd round pick.
And I believe Elijah Mitchell will slot into that Raheem Mostert role, and they could draft another running back. The Niners could draft another running back, and then you're stuck. Whereas, I would rather take a shot.
I'd rather
on
have the 103. I'd rather have the 103 because that could end up being Garrett Wilson, even.
Yeah. Depending on your needs.
I'd rather have him over either of those running backs. But ultimately, I think I would rather have Kenneth Walker. I'd rather have the rights to Kenneth Walker in some way, shape, or form than Elijah Mitchell. And I'd much rather have Elijah Mitchell than Rashad Penny.
Agreed.
So there you
go. Winston DeVarius, what's going on? Drop Matt
Winston?
Breida to pick up Whiteside, half PPR.
No.
No.
Nah. just keep Breida.
I'm not super happy about Breida, but chances. I mean, I'm not trying to go out and get JJ. Or
is he still on the Bills?
No.
Just he was like a little fill-in for a little while.
I believe he was on a 1-year deal, and they brought in Duke Johnson to take that role.
There's no guarantee then that Matt Breida's already 27. He's for the. Oh, that's right. He went to the Giants. They cut Devontae Booker. No, keep Matt Breida. For a second, I thought he was out of a job. No, he's got it. He's gonna be Saquon's backup, which is insanely valuable.
Yes. So yeah, I backtracked that. I did not know that he was on the Giants, but I
was saying don't drop White or don't.
Brian
cut
Daboll and Joe Sheen might have just seen enough in him while he was on the Bills to think, okay, this guy can be something that we can work with, or somebody that we have a relationship with for when we go to the Giants, and obviously that came to fruition. I'd much rather have Matt Breida than Whiteside at tight end, just based off of positional value.
Yep.
Even even disregarding the fact that he's backing up one of the more injury-prone running backs in the league. But when you add that in, much rather have Breida. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And, Rojo, you are panicking with the Kamara suspension looming. I'm sure a lot of people are. You have Javonte, Eckler, Kamara, Zeke, Pollard, McKissick, Hilliard, and Kylan Hill on your taxi. Great stash. Right. Maybe you can trade Zeke week 8-ish after Kamara
comes back. Yeah. So you can get a 23 first if Zeke is playing well. Yeah, exactly.
That's a great running back core.
Yes, it is. And if you know Kamara's coming back, that gives you the flexibility to reacquire some draft capital you gave up for Zeke by maybe flipping Zeke, but keep Pollard.
And I was just looking at your running back depth chart here and thinking, should he be trying to trade Zeke now? But no, Zeke has the highest value in season when he's playing.
Yup.
He doesn't have the highest value right now when draft picks have the highest value. So yeah, if you can move Kamara for, somebody in this chat just got the a 2024 first, or traded the 2024 first and the 306. I mean, if you can do something like that mid-season, I don't think that's outside of the realm of possibility, and that's a win. With your current makeup at running back.
Yep.
With Kamara conceivably coming back. Now, the report that came out over the weekend was that Kamara's date for his hearing got pushed back. And we all know the NFL will not suspend a player until the legal issue is taken care of. So Kamara might be. Didn't Zeke play out during legal issues and then get suspended the following season?
No, he started. He got slapped with the suspension during the season. Like, he played for the first 4 or 5 games.
Okay. Yeah.
Or maybe it was the first 6 or 7 games. Then he got suspended. Or no, was he not eligible to play until week 6? Maybe that's what it was. No, it all happened in the same offseason.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm pretty sure there was an appeal. I think he was slapped with a 6-game suspension during the offseason. There was an appeal process, and Zeke played for the first 10 weeks of the season. Then he got suspended, and his first game back was championship week. That was week 16. That's what it was. He was eligible to return week 16. So he was slapped with the suspension mid-season or during the offseason. There was an appeals process where he was eligible to play for the first couple months of the season. Ultimately, the appeal was denied. He served his suspension mid-season, came back week 16. That's what it was.
So, yeah, the report here on Alvin Kamara, Pro Football Talk reports that Alvin Kamara's April 25th hearing has been moved to August 1st. Lawyers for Kamara and the other defendants have requested additional time to review evidence, pushing the hearing back. The NFL is likely to let the legal situation play out before administering a suspension or a fine related to the charges.
Yep. Okay, so there you go. So yeah, maybe Kamara is playing week 1 after all.
Yeah. I think the smart money is on that happening. To be honest, I would think that a suspension for Kamara would come mid-season, and we might see a scenario like what happened with Zeke play out again for Kamara.
Could be.
But you got Pollard anyway, so
you're good.
You got Zeke and Pollard anyway,
Zeke
so you're not worried about your running back 3 is what my
that I guess what that might mean is you're not trading Zeke mid-season.
Right.
That's what that means. Yeah.
But we'll come around to that when we get there.
Plenty of time.
Yeah, Rojo, you don't have many 23 picks. Maybe I could snag a few picks back if he's
Well, if doing
something like that, yeah.
Well, that was if Zeke, if the thought process, if Kamara was going to be suspended week 1, now it looked, based on the fact that his original court date was pushed back, now it looks like Kamara might play week 1. Therefore, I don't think you're going to get.
Yo, Iron, thank you for becoming a member. Much appreciated. That's awesome.
Oh, that's
Glad to have
awesome.
you on board.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard, Iron.
One step closer to doing leagues with y'all members. So thank you, Iron.
Yes, sir.
We'll get you added into the Discord. Are you already on the regular Discord?
I don't think Iron's joined us in the Discord.
All right. Well, Discord link is in the description of this video. So join our Discord and we'll add you as a member to the members only part of it. But thank you very much.
That's awesome. Real quick to wrap up the thought process there, because I think we were a little turned around. Iron was saying he's trying to trade to get the 103. Yo, if you can turn Penny, and if it takes something else, then so be it. If you can get Penny and a piece for the 103, do that. And ultimately, if he says no, and it's Mitchell for the 103, I think I say take the deal. I do. I said I already said earlier I'd rather have the 103 and the potential rights to get Garrett Wilson or Kenneth Walker over Elijah Mitchell. Start with Penny. Here's what you do, Iron. Start with Penny.
Mm-hmm.
If the answer is no, Penny and a piece. The piece can be whatever. If the answer is no, Mitchell. But
I would try to get that deal done.
Mitchell.
And maybe if you got to trade Mitchell, see if you can get a little extra because Mitchell is young, on a good team, isn't injury prone like Penny. So yeah, if you're trading away Mitchell, you might try to get squeeze a little bit more out of the owner you're trying to trade him to. But I agree with that 100%. And thanks for clarifying. Appreciate it. And thank you for becoming a member. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It is. Glad to have you on board. Hunter L., thoughts on George Pickens, football or fantasy? I mean, we're both pretty high on George Pickens. He has that wide receiver 1, that alpha wide receiver 1 build and profile to him. He's not one of these Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson types that is more of the movable chess piece archetype of wide receiver that Nick has been moving towards recently, and really the whole NFL, and me too. But I mean, Pickens can be that outside alpha wide receiver for you. Pickens can be like a Cortland Sutton?
Hopefully he's better than that.
Hopefully,
so far.
Right. But I mean, Cortland Sutton's good. He's just suffered from crappy play.
Yeah.
Quarterback. But
yeah.
Yeah, I like Pickens a lot. I
mean, I like players who come from big programs. He was a big time playmaker prior to the injury. Fallen a little bit for a couple of other concerns. But yeah, if he's able to put it all together, I think the draft capital will be there. Honestly, when you think about it, there are fewer and fewer like bad landing spots these days when it comes to wide receivers, right? Because everybody's throwing the ball these days. Everybody is. Except for maybe like one or two teams. And even then, they can still turn into wide receiver threes. I like Pickens' long-term outlook. I do. I think the draft capital is there. I think what he did against the level of competition he faced was there. His pedigree is there. He's just got, the injury happened, working his way back. He's not quite on Jameson Williams' level as far as a prospect, but he can certainly get there as far as like just get back to full health, get back to football activities. Might take a year.
Now, I didn't know about all the off-the-field issues with George Pickens until literally right now when looking at Rojo's comment here, if Pickens can't stay out of his own way after he gets that bag, he's going to be a star. I Googled George Pickens here looking at it. One anonymous NFL scout says, George Pickens, there's a lot of upside, but he can't get out of his own way. He's been enabled his whole life. Another wide receiver coach says, Pickens, you love his game, but there are some issues. Do you want to work with him? He's a top 6 wide receiver in this draft talent-wise, but it's impossible not to add in those other things. He has the size, really good range, positions his body on deep throws, all that other stuff. But he ends by saying, but I wouldn't touch him. So interesting. I mean, definition of a boom-bust player for intangible reasons that don't usually play a role in fantasy, but another wide receiver coach here. Mm-hmm. On tape, and direct quote, on tape, he's probably a top 5 wide receiver, but there's just so many red flags, and they're big red flags. He's got a lot of growing up to do. If he goes to the right place with a room full of veterans that help him go right away, I think he'll have a chance. But none of those are glowing endorsements. I think he'll have a chance from one wide receiver coach. I wouldn't touch him from another wide receiver coach. And there's a lot of upside, but he can't get out of his own way from a scout. I didn't know all that about Pickens. I didn't. That's news to me. Is he Dorial Green Beckham? He was a highly drafted player, drafted in the second round. That's what we're projecting for Pickens. Had all the physical attributes to succeed in the world, but couldn't get out of his own way and was out of the league in two to 3 seasons. That's a worry for me, and I didn't know about that with Pickens. Is this draft smoke? Is this a smoke screen? Because it is coming out within 3 days of the NFL draft? Possibly.
Could be a smoke screen. Get other teams to come up with random stuff. And unfortunately, for better or worse, teams do this. Where they come up with random, whispers and turn it into a rumor and let it out into the universe. And then it forces them to fall.
To me, he's not going to fall too much. He was a late first round wide receiver in rookie drafts for me. And now maybe there's a chance that he falls into the second and you can get him at 102, 103, 104 or something like that. But there's a teardrop still to where if George Pickens is at the 103, I'm not letting him move past, or the 203, I'm not letting him move past that.
No.
The talent, again, chase that talent. Intangibles be what they may, red flags be what they may. In a draft class like this, as soon as George Pickens hits the second round in your rookie drafts, take that swing.
Go get him.
And if this news drops his value to where if you have a second round pick, an early second round pick, and he's there, I mean, I think that's a boon for you. I don't think that's a bad thing to have George Pickens on your squad. It's going to be interesting to see the way it works out. It is.
Yeah.
Hey, look at Kadarius Toney, one of the more immature players coming into the league last year. We saw it all offseason last year. We saw it some this offseason this year, to the point where the team might want to trade him. But talent on the field is undeniable. He has the talent on the field. Do you want to deal with the headache? That's on you. But I'm not disappointed that I have Kadarius Toney on a team.
No?
Could be the same thing with George Pickens.
Could be.
So that's interesting. I like George Pickens, though, still.
Okay.
And you?
I still like him. I still like the talent, and I agree. I would take a shot on him.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as it's not an egregious fall in the NFL draft. If he's taken in the second round, even if it's the late second round, which I think is the expectation for Pickens, I'm in. That's day 2 draft capital. I have in this draft class, I have no choice. But that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
I gotta take that shot. I have to take that shot. I prefer to take that shot.
Now, if he falls into the late third,
a little more concerning, for sure. A little more concerning. He slides. He'll slide in rookie drafts if, in fact, that happens. There are going to be other players. Maybe the Christian Watsons of the world leapfrog him in that scenario. But we got to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
If there's an NFL team, I feel like this will be a good opportunity to analyze. We will take a good long look at who drafts him, and is that organization a good landing spot for him? Is to the point of the scouts. What's the veteran makeup of the situation he's walking into? How many how old is the quarterback? Is it a veteran quarterback who has done, or even a veteran a good young quarterback who's proven in this league, who people will he commands respect? Or is it an unproven quarterback? Is it an unstable locker room? Is it an unstable front office? Is it one that gives red flags more often than they don't?
Yeah, if he goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm a little bit worried.
Then he slides.
If he goes to the Bills, I'm not worried at all. If he goes to, you just got to look at the personnel that's going to be around him to see if all these red flags are things that they can help him overcome. If they can teach him a little bit and help him grow into the wide receiver that we all want him to be. So,
and at the end of the day, maybe it's all on Pickens. Maybe it's all on him, because at the end of the day, you got to want it for yourself.
Yeah.
And 30-year-old veterans can only help you out, or even their age doesn't matter. Veterans or a good stable of players and teammates can only get you so far. So we'll see, but we'll make sure to keep a good eye on that. We'll make sure to analyze the landing spot when it happens.
Yep.
Could be late Friday night. So we'll have our coffee ready. Well, I will anyway. John doesn't drink coffee.
No, for 4 hour streams, I will have
the caffeine's gonna be flowing.
Yeah.
Caffeine's gonna be flowing. I'm gonna have to go off camera a couple of times for 2 reasons. 1, to use the bathroom, and 2, to make another pot.
Well, you got a dog to make sure he's okay.
That's
too.
true.
So
He's gonna just have to hold it.
Well, if I gotta hold it down while you gotta walk your dog, that's cool. I'm fine with that. But once again, Iron, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining as a member.
Yes, sir.
The objective, man, the math doesn't work out there, so it doesn't look right. So,
did anybody switch their votes to down votes?
I don't know.
Okay. Appreciate the call out, though.
Yeah.
Let them know.
Yeah. Putting them on blast.
Let them know.
Yeah. Yo, Hunter's excited to have you in here. Iron.
Of course.
Rojo too, looks like. So yeah.
Of course.
We're excited to have you with us, man.
Of course.
Join that Discord so we can have conversations whenever you want about whatever you want.
Hit up the Discord link.
And anybody in here that isn't in the Discord yet, just because you're not a member doesn't mean you can't join our Discord, and we'll have conversations with you in the Discord too.
Of course.
If you post off stream hours, whatever.
Yeah,
so
whenever you want.
Join that Discord.
We're there to answer questions or just talk. So, yeah. What else we got? Look at this community, all so welcoming. Appreciate that.
Yeah, man, that's nice to see.
That's how we do it.
And members only have PPR 12-man Superflex. Hey,
I'm in.
I'm in with that too.
I'm in. Say less. I'm in. Don't care. I'm in. Yeah, Iron, let us know how that trade goes. Or let us know how those trade conversations go, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, well, you're a member now, so you'll be able to tune in tomorrow. And if you...
That's true.
So let us know tomorrow how it goes if you can make it to the stream.
Yes, sir.
And tomorrow, for all y'all members, we are going to be doing tentatively right now, going to be doing a mock draft on Sleeper live for you guys tomorrow. So we can work our way through all these prospects right before the NFL draft.
We'll see if we can extend the invite to anybody who's able to participate tomorrow night.
Yeah, we'd love to be able to do a mock draft with you members. So
we got to be able to do that where we just like share, we can use the Discord. We share the link to the invite that you create. If you have a sleeper name, you probably don't even need to share it with us. You just click the link. If you have a sleeper account, you'll be able to join the draft with the invite. So nice little 4-round, 5-round mock draft, 12 team.
Let's go to 5 rounds. Let's just go to 5. I mean, we're set up for 4.
4 rounds.
Let's see if we can make it 5, because I know a lot of people out there do play with 5-round rookie drafts.
A little extra exposure to the rookies. A little extra exposure to some of the names. So yeah, sounds like a good plan for tomorrow. It's gonna be fun.
Yes, sir. All right, Hunter, why would the Giants shop Tony? I don't understand it.
So was there something that came up today that he did end up reporting to camp or the off-season program?
He did.
So that might have been more of just like that could have been the team floating something around, or even just like a fake rumor, like, hey, put this out there in the wind, like we're thinking about shopping him, or
just to get him to show up. Yep.
Get him to show up, put a little warm his seat up a little bit, so to speak. I guarantee the Giants don't want to rehash of what happened last year with Tony, where he was in and out of the offseason program. He was dealing with injuries during the offseason, got off to a slow start, dealt with COVID, I think twice.
Mm-hmm.
So there might have been some maturity issues, maybe. I don't know Kadarius Toney personally. Obviously, I'm not in his inner circle. I do not know what was going on with him last year. But those concerns crept in based on what happened during the offseason, and he didn't get off to this offseason on the right foot by not showing up to the offseason program at first.
With a new regime.
With a new regime. Right. You want to make a good first impression when when it's a new coaching staff and you're a young player, even first-round picks, because Kadarius Toney did not have a first-round pick type of season last year.
No.
So he's got to prove it all over again. So you want to get off on the right foot with a new coaching staff. Day one might not have been as good. It's good now that he has showed up. So I would say he's not going to be shopped. On top of all of this, what would the Giants possibly get for Kadarius Toney right now?
They just invested a mid-first round pick in him last year. What are they going to do? Turn around and sell him for a third? That's just no.
That would be insane.
Yeah.
He's not getting shopped. Doesn't matter how bad it is. He's going to be on the team this year. I think it was just like a fake report put out, maybe light a fire on Kadarius Toney.
Yep.
Yeah. I have to imagine that's it. I have to imagine that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, that team underperformed all over the place. In all assets of the game, that team underperformed last year. Now, they dealt with injuries and all that stuff. They underperformed last year, and they need all the help they can get. They need everybody, all hands on deck, this early into the OTAs, just to see if they can figure out some of these issues that popped up last year.
Yup.
Get all on the same page, especially with a new regime that's coming in and trying to have a culture change.
Yep.
Because that's what they need in New Jersey. Let's be real. But that's But that's what they need. That's what they need. So yeah, I am of the same belief. It was just to get Tony in, and now that he's in, all those rumors will calm down. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
And Iron, we're happy you're on the team. You never played in Superflex, but you're in that too. And yeah, it's going to be in Sleeper.
It would be in Sleeper.
We'll work out the logistics on that and let y'all know. And we will be sending that out through our Discord. So again, Iron, Discord link is in the description of this video. join our Discord and we'll add you as a member on there. And then tomorrow, a little bit before the stream, we'll shoot out the invite link so we can hit the ground running.
Sounds like a good plan.
And Hunter, you'll be a newbie in Dynasty. Hey,
man, it's fun.
We were all newbies at one point, so...
Yeah. Wasn't too long ago for us either. Like, it's only been a few
2 years. 2 years we've been in Dynasty.
Been a few years, so it's not been... I'm not some 10-year vet. We're still finding our way, too. So...
And hopefully we'll be able to, through doing these types of things like having rookie mocks with you and being able to talk through picks with you, hopefully we'll be able to help you avoid some of the pitfalls that we fell into as first year and even second year Dynasty owners. Because there's definitely a learning curve. If you've been playing redraft this whole time, there's definitely a learning curve. So we'll be able to help you out with that for sure. But I think that about does it for today. We don't have any more questions in the chat. Again, we'll have our members only stream tomorrow. Be able to welcome Iron with the mock draft. That'll be fun.
That'll be cool.
And then the draft is Thursday.
Yeah, if you have not done a one-on-one with us yet, there is still time to get that scheduled before the NFL draft if you are interested.
Yep.
So I know Slim, we maybe originally had something set up, and if you're still, we unfortunately hadn't been able to actually have it yet. If you're interested in getting, and hopping on a call between now and Thursday, let us know. If anybody else wants to have a one-on-one session, any of the members want to have a one-on-one session with us, we'll go over your Dynasty team for 20 minutes. Take a look at your team, maybe brainstorm ideas on where to go, how to approach, how to attack your team coming up before the NFL draft. Obviously, we will offer these opportunities after the NFL draft as well, but obviously, there's maybe a little bit more urgency to see if there's anything you want to do with your team last minute before the actual NFL draft. So if you haven't done a one-on-one with us and want to, let us know. You can let us know now here in this chat while we're still on for the next couple of minutes, or in the Discord. We'll pick that up between now and Thursday, and we'll get something scheduled. So that's absolutely on the table as well before Thursday. But then Thursday, like I mentioned earlier, it's the NFL draft. We will be there all night long. Well, we won't be there physically, but we will be here
all
day.
Night long.
Someday
we will.
Yeah, one day. But not yet. We will be here. Looking forward to hanging out with anybody and everybody who wants to come hang out. Same place. I think the draft kicks off 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll probably maybe open the chat room a little earlier than that just to get ready.
But I guess now's a good time to say we will not be starting at 5:55 on Thursday. We will probably be starting, 6:55?
I was going to say maybe
7:30.
I was going to say maybe, like a half hour before the draft starts, something like that. Maybe like a 7:30 Eastern time start for our stream. About a half hour into the NFL draft, something like that. And we will tentatively see about having a members only opportunity for call-ins. I don't know if that would be through the Discord or through the channel. Those are some things that we still need to figure out, but we are hoping to have for you as a feature for the members during the NFL draft for those that want to come hang out with us.
Yeah, well, I'm going to try to have that set up. So, Rojo, when your Saints are on the board, right after they pick somebody, it might not be a fantasy relevant pick, but, you'll be able to call in on the Discord and be able to have a conversation. We can talk shop about the picks that your team is making. So stuff like that. We want to be able to make this a little bit even more interactive than we already have it set up with the chat and all that. Absolutely. So being able to have y'all call in would be really cool. Really cool.
Absolutely. But more to come there. We actually got to dive into it. But yeah, think that about does it for today.
Yeah, and hey, Nene, thank you very much
sneaking in at the end. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for the compliment.
Yeah, appreciate it. So.
And Alex, you want to one-on-one? You draft on Tuesday? Okay.
All
right.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah.
We'll figure something out. If there's any members who haven't had a one-on-one yet, we'll check in with them first. But we will absolutely sneak you in. at some point. If it has to be Monday, then it has to be Monday.
But we'll get to you before the draft. Yeah.
We will absolutely. We'll absolutely figure something out.
But all right, y'all. Thanks for tuning into the stream. Thanks for all your questions in the chat. Thank you again to Iron for becoming a member. Much appreciated. Sir. Real cool. If you're not a member, we'll see you on Thursday for the NFL draft. And if you are a member, we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Talk tomorrow. Yep. Thanks, everybody.
Have a great night, y'all.